Friends, I'm sure you must have watched my last video, which was on the figure of speech sonnet and the various types of sonnet I had explained to you in it. Today I'll be taking the other two figures of speech, that is simile and metaphor. Most of you must have read something or the other about simile and metaphor. I would not say they are two opposite, but they are not two alike also. First, I would explain simile. Simile is a figure of speech which involves an expressed comparison of one thing with another, of a different kind, or between two unlike objects, usually using words like or as. Now, simile is used to make a description more emphatic or vivid. For example, if we say Tom is as ugly as Bill, it is a normal sentence where two individuals are compared, or two objects or human beings are compared. So it is a simple comparison. But if I say Tom is as ugly as sin, it is now that it has become a simile, because Tom and sin are compared and both are unlike objects. More examples of a simile are: he is as funny as a monkey. Her cheeks are red like a rose. The water well was dry as a bone. So we see that a simile is a direct comparison. Now I'll be explaining something about metaphor. What is a metaphor? Now, a metaphor is a figure of speech that makes an implicit, implied, or hidden comparison between two things that are unrelated or two unlike objects, but which share some common characteristics by identification or by substitution of one for the other. Now, metaphors, like any other figure of speech, are common in everyday conversation, and most of us use it. For example, if we say that Mary is a dead duck, but for the rhetorical force, we have compared Mary to a dead duck. In the same way, the comparison in metaphor is, however, not so direct as in a simile. At times, only half of the metaphor is directly expressed and the other half might be conceived. Now, when a metaphor serves to illustrate an idea which can be expressed in many other ways, it is merely decorative. When, however, a metaphor is expressed, or metaphor expresses the complexity of thought and feeling that is so subtle and so precise that it cannot be expressed in any other way, then it is called an organic or a structural metaphor. For example, I give you, argument is war. Here, argument is partially structured, understood, performed, and talked about in terms of war. At times, when a metaphor becomes very common, it is referred to as a dead metaphor. That is, a metaphor which has lost its original meaning and imaginative force through frequent use or outdated terminology. For example, such sayings that perhaps an older relation uses, such as your grandfather or grandmother. Now, when the two elements in a metaphor are startlingly different, we call it a mixed metaphor. Or we may define a mixed metaphor as a succession of incongruous or ludicrous comparison. Playfully, a mixed metaphor may also be called a mixophor. At times, this is usually a fault, and so many style guides condemn the use of a mixed metaphor. But Under extraordinary circumstances, it may be highly effective, and so it is used. Thank you.